Check, check. Just kidding. Hey, beautiful souls. Welcome back to Soulcast. I know it's supposed to be this 8-week chakra healing journey, but I needed to step in and unpack something with y'all today. Today, I went on the Pattern app. I don't know if you've used it before. However, if you haven't, I will put that link in the episode details. But let me talk about it. If you've ever read one of their breakdowns, you know it could really feel like someone has been living in your head or watching your life and then writing about it. It's an astrological app, right? It gets your birth chart, and it gets your planetary alignment along with the zodiac sign placements and the houses. It's a very complex um, app and a lot of information that they have. And a lot of the times, its accuracy is so eerie. It's spot on. And I'm like, what the heck? I want to share this message because I think it speaks to a lot of us. And as I read, I'll pause, reflect, and maybe share some personal stories along the way. Who knows? Hopefully, you'll see yourself in some of these words too. All right. So, the first section I read in today's message, it's about talents, drive, and ambition, right? So, it said, you have the drive and ambition to use your talents and skills to achieve something special. You can put your mind to work and channel your many abilities. You're naturally social, entertaining, and funny. Possibly you're a successful actor, writer, or comedian. Let me tell you, that's a beautiful meal right there, okay? And for some of us, it feels true. We know we have that spark, right? We have that ability to captivate. Like, I'm a dancer, right? So one of my gifts is like I'm a dancer. I will get on stage. I move like dancing allows me to be completely free, and I know I am captivating. I know I draw people in. I know I illuminate, right? But there's also the other side. Section 2, what is said in there is like when you're struggling, okay? Alternatively, when you're struggling, it can feel like you're blocked from success. You might think you're not smart or funny enough, so why bother trying to do well? In your frustration, you may become purposely disruptive and rebellious or unable to find a focus. Can you relate to that? That moment when you feel like all your talents don't really land, and instead of leaning in, you pull away? Yes, there are a lot of times where, again, like I mentioned, I'm a dancer, right? And I was pursuing another goal in becoming a choreographer. And in the dance world, I don't know if anybody has experienced or knows this, but mainly from my experience, in the dance world, it is very competitive. There is a lot of comparison that happens unknowingly, and it creates a lot of self-doubt. And so when you love dancing and taking somebody's choreography and moving through and creating, your own little zat to it, like it is just free. It is so freeing. However, when you take charge and stand in that power and having that ability to be like, I'm going to create this, I'm going to create a message, I'm going to create a feeling, um it it brings so much pressure. And that's where my self-doubt starts to kick in, right? I start to think like, okay, no, like that's not good, that doesn't look good. I become my hugest critic, and like it just gets real. And the truth is, like, we can live in both of these realities at different times, right? Like I could be this amazing dancer, I get spotlight, I get chosen all the time, and then when I'm choreography comes and kicks in, and I put it out and I see it and I'm judging, I'm looking at it like, yo, like that's not even that's not interpreting what I was feeling, like it's real. And these both of these realities can be true, um and can exist at different times in our lives, right? Which leads us to section 3, which is about fast, strong, and blocked in childhood, okay? So it said, you're also faster, quicker, and stronger than most. But as a kid, you might have felt blocked from expressing yourself without guilt or judgment. It's possible you felt pressure to get serious and act more grown up and responsible. Even now, you may behave based on feelings of deficiency or insecurity or feel unable to trust your natural instincts. Wow. Wow. Like, wow. This one hit me to the core because, like, growing up, I had to grow up emotionally and mentally at a very young age. And um I have experience with sexual trauma, right? And that for a woman it brings a lot of different emotions and feelings that are involved with, your physical sensations. And sometimes it's kind of like it's a wave of things, right? So it has a huge impact. And not only that, but I grew up in a single parent, strong Black woman household. Like, we all know what that means. We all know what that means, right? And so with that, you have to be, with me also, side note, being the oldest child, you have to carry this sense of responsibility because you have a younger sibling that's also looking up to you when mom and dad, or whoever the case may be, the adults aren't around, right? And so you have to be able to carry these hats of, like, I'm going to show up and be here for you because I know at times we don't have this X, Y, and Z. And it's important to, like, identify these things in your childhood, right? Because it plays a big role in how you show up in your present day life. And so there are times too where, like, I have been emotionally, very, like, emotionally heightened and ridden, and nobody understood what I went through because I didn't tell anybody. So I was essentially dealing with my own traumas alone, as, like, nobody else knew until literally either I got into a relationship and I let them know, um, excuse me, sorry. And or, 5 years ago was when I actually started talking about, my rape. And so that happening at 13, it changes everything about everything. And so I was very fearful in the world. I was very emotionally reactive. I didn't trust anybody. I had a lot of anger, like a lot of emotions that I just didn't know how to process and deal with. And so when I was cry I like, when something hurt my feelings, I would cry excessively, or if I was too something made me mad, I was overly aggressive and angry, and everybody would just look at me like, "Mila, you're too much, or you're too soft, or you're too this, or you're too that, you're too sensitive, and blah blah blah, you're too emotional." All the loving things, right? So with that, how many of us still carry that pressure to be responsible, to hold it together instead of trusting our own instincts and letting our natural gifts shine? And so these little aspects, like what I'm learning today, like when I tell you, like, this reading really just kind of like blew mine, like it blew mine. Okay. So, like, the next section I'm going to go into is about independence and freedom. So, you're independent and naturally resist anything that gets in the way of your freedom. Absolutely. Okay. You especially don't like being told what to do. Hell no. Do not tell me what to do. Okay. A real lone wolf, you're as wild and free as they come. Absolutely. Okay. Anybody who is my friend and who knows me to the core and very deeply, I do what I want, when I want, how I want to. And again, that's based off my childhood. I didn't have that sense of, like, you need to do X, Y, and Z. Like, no, I am as free as I come, right? So I want to know who felt that in their soul, right? Your freedom, being told what to do, we're lone wolf, like wild and free. Yes, because again, I did. I felt that. I felt all of that entirely. One thing about me is I'm not a trendsetter. I don't do trends for people to follow, but I blaze a trail for any goal and any desire that I place my mind on, right? So if I want to do something, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to do it. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to get it and what I got to do essentially. Like, for example, my career, right? I told you I'm a dancer. I wanted to be a choreographer. I knew I wanted to be a dancer slash choreographer slash have my own studio at the age of, I would say, 10, 11, maybe 7. No, not 7, like 10. Middle school, whatever age I was then. um, I always said that I wanted to be a choreographer when I was young. And after I got out of high school, um, I went to college. I went to community college because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I went to high school. I focused on digital media and design. So that was where my creativity shined essentially. However, after high school and going into college, you really have to decide what it is that you want. And I remember sitting with my mom, choosing my classes, right? Like, what do I want to do? Obviously, you got to get your GE, your general ed, but then you also want to get your extracurricular activities. And there was a dance section, and I was like, "Mom, you think I can do that?" Like, like they said, American street dance, yes, which is AKA breaking, like it's breaking. Um, so, um, yeah. So we were sitting there and I was like, "Do you think I can do this?" Because I was very self-cautious about like my weight and like, being a heavier set woman and a lot of more on the thick side. And also insecurities of, adults, parents, commenting on my weight at a very young age throughout my whole teenage life. I had those insecurities that I've agreed to and have built in my core. And so when I asked her that, she's like, yeah, they're gonna, I don't think she meant it with ill intent, right? I just think that it was probably just a poor choice of words. She was like, there are gonna be a lot more bigger people in this class trying to dance and do all this and that. And I said, and for some reason, that made me feel better. It made me feel better. So, anyways, I started my dance journey in 2012, and I have been dancing ever since. And from there, I became a dance major, and I was like, I was in it. I was like, this is what I'm gonna do. I performed, I did showcases, I ended up joining a dance team and competing and all of these great things. And then I moved to the Bay Area to get my bachelor's of science degree. I actually didn't finish because of COVID, and there's a lot more of that goes on with that story. However, I was able to obtain a job as an assistant studio manager, which I was able to live that dream. I was able to fulfill that career path that I wanted. And then I learned that it wasn't for me. So now I'm like, okay, I did everything that I wanted to do, right? And now I'm like, I don't want to do this. What? Society will look at you like, ma'am, you did all of this studying, you did all this and that to not pursue that dream. Like you have it. Why not open up your own? Because I learned that all the work that you got to do and all the that's no, that's actually not what I want to do. So I think having that independence and freedom and moving the way you want to, like, I think that's a gift, like, especially when it's channeled right. Like, independence can be isolating at times, yeah? Like, but it can also fuel you. Like, it's a fuel that, like, keeps you from being boxed in, right? It's amazing. The next section, okay, I know, there's a lot going on, yeah, but I really wanted to talk about this. The next section was about youthful and adaptability. So, no matter how old you are, instead, you're always young at heart. Like a free electron, you have the capacity to adapt quickly, as if continually changing roles. You can be hard to pin down because of this. All right. Do you ever feel like you're many people in one, like constantly shifting or like evolving or trying on new versions of yourself, because honestly, that is me all the time. I am always trying to reinvent myself. I'm always trying to adapt and become, like, this is perfect, right? I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been here for 2 years, and I had to leave San Diego, California. I was like, let me leave. Let me see what else is out there. And it's like, I know that this will contribute to a new version of me. Like, what else is out there? What else can I do? Who else can I be? Like, what other version of me can I be? Like, that's a strength, even if other people don't understand it. Because, hey, like, some people are okay with being that same, 9 to 5 every day, just same routine. And I need to change it up. I need to adapt and shift and reinvent my structure, which also means me, right? So that's another great thing that I really loved hearing. Another part of the reading was, I have many talents and yet I'm still searching. So this is this is where it's gonna start getting real, y'all. Okay. It said, you have many interests and various talents. Although you're also able to be completely and equally committed and focused to whatever current task it is at hand, with your drive and ambition, you have the potential to channel your many skills and achieve something special. Yes. This is essentially where many of us sit at, right? We're multi-talented, we're multifaceted, but sometimes we wonder, like, what's that thing that will stick, right? The thing that feels like it's our calling. Like, what is that one thing? We never have that sense of like, this is what it is, because we wear so many hats, because we have so many talents. Like, there's always this longing for, like, what is my calling, right? Yes, okay. Um, After this, it mentioned, okay, but even when you captivate an audience and make everyone laugh, you often can't fully enjoy being the center of attention. Somehow it's never enough and it feels like something is missing. Socializing just feels hard and exhausting. So you either stay home or you're able to enjoy yourself even in the most exciting situations. This one was about the void and social exhaustion, right? That was real. When I read that, it really dawned on me, like, damn, like, I can do all these things. I can wear all these hats. I can show up and be the vibe in the room and captivate everybody's attention, but I don't fully enjoy having that attention, right? Like, something's always missing, and like, it's exhausting. Sometimes socializing for me can be really exhausting, and then I stay home. And or if I don't stay home and I go to this event and I go socialize, like, I had to sit back and really think, like, yo, sometimes I've really went to places and I'm like, it wasn't 100% satisfying. It wasn't 100% like, I wasn't enjoying myself to the 100th percentile. Like, it's interesting to have read this and be like, you know what? That is also very true. Like, what I noticed when people ask me, like, oh, how was it? I was like, oh yeah, it was fine. Like, there are things that really get me excited. And I'm just like, hell yeah. And a lot of the times that comes from, like, when I accomplish goals or like when I achieve something, I'm like, hell yeah, I did this, I did that. Well, I'm proud of myself, right? However, when it comes to like socializing and, this void that is there that I don't know how to feel, like, I don't have that like, something's missing. And like, what I realized was like, this was like essentially a reminder that success and laughter, like, on the outside doesn't always equal fulfillment on the inside. So with that section alone, like, we're gonna get into this right now. Right here. And this is where it comes from, okay? Logic versus emotions. Your instinct is to process your experience in a logical manner. Recognizing and expressing your feelings might not come naturally. You're a beginner when it comes to understanding your emotions and getting comfortable expressing something other than your thoughts. Bro, When I say this one is deep, this one was deep. Like, how many of us have been taught to think instead of feel? To analyze instead of process your emotions. Like, literally, going back to the story I mentioned about, being too much, being too sensitive. Like, I shut down a lot, especially in relationships. Like, in relationships, um, I shut down. And there are times in a relationship where they say I don't open up enough. And that's because I still to this day struggle with expressing my emotions. I had one of my exes before mention that I know how to intellectualize my feelings, which means my thoughts. I know, or I have an idea what can be contributing to what I'm feeling, and I know what I need to do to fix it, quote unquote, fix it, but I don't know how to express what it is that I'm currently feeling in that moment, because sometimes, and then going back to my, heightened emotions, it becomes overwhelming and too much for me. So imagine you're emotionally heightened and you feel too much for yourself, and then you have this lingering belief in your mind, in your core, telling you you're too emotional, you're too much, you're too sensitive. That's double. That's a double whammy right there. And then I shut down because I'm overwhelmed and I don't know if I should express or not express. And it makes sense because feelings can feel unsafe. Like, they can feel unsafe, and we've never been taught on how to trust them, right? Trusting our feelings. But we can learn slowly with patience. We can unlearn the idea that feelings equal weakness, because you're not weak for feeling. If anything, you're stronger. Your capability and your bandwidth is stronger. Okay? This again leads to the next section. Hang on with me, y'all. Like, like, I hope y'all still feeling this and hearing this with me. I hope this resonates with y'all as well, because this is very deep for me. And I'm working on intimacy, and this podcast really allows me to tap into my throat chakra, to make me feel heard, right? But I also know that I can also be an advocate and a voice for others who also have this difficulty of being vulnerable and opening up as well. So that leads into this next section. Honestly, it's about intimacy and doubt in relationships. Okay. It said, you might have struggled with romantic partners who didn't think you were expressive enough. If you're put in a position where you're flooded with emotions, it's unfamiliar territory and you'll likely feel trapped and powerless. All right, y'all. Like I said, this thing was reading me. Relationships definitely, guys, can become mirrors for this part of us. And when I say that, is because I've been in different dynamics of relationships. Like, if you guys know me, I am always learning myself through relationships. And so there was a relationship. I'm not gonna name any names because it's just, we're not gonna get there. There was a relationship I was in, and this person ultimately, um, just like, I brought them into my world, right? And I allowed them to reap the benefits of like my hard work and like what I was doing and how I was showing up. I was going to school, I was working, I was on a dance team, like all these things. I didn't have a car, so I was doing public transportation. Like, it was a lot, right? And because of my lack of intimacy or lack of awareness as well of not being able to express my emotions, like, this person, and it sticks with me till this day, like, they had let me know that you don't cuddle with me anymore. You don't hug me. You don't talk to me anymore. And mind you, like, I didn't even learn also how to communicate when I needed to be like alone, or if I needed space, or if I needed to just decompress. Like, I didn't have the communication skills. I didn't know how to be intimate and vulnerable. Like, I didn't know any of that. And for this person to come to me with that, it was very like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm going to school, I'm working, you're not working, you're not doing any of this stuff. Like, I'm you're in my apartment. Like got us an apartment type stuff, like, and with that, like, obviously I come to find out that this person, because of that, and it wasn't my fault initially, like, but it was communicated to me while already pursuing another person. And so for me, it was like, wow, like, it was an eye opening for me, like, when I went back and reflected, and I was like, yo, like, I didn't know how to be vulnerable. I didn't know how to open up. And then fast forward to today, like, I still struggle with that. When I become flooded with emotions, or when, like, when I have, like, it does make me feel powerless. It makes me feel trapped. And like, a lot of the times I will tell people, this is what you're doing, and this is what it's making me do. Essentially, I made other people responsible for, one, like, my actions or my lack of reaction. And a lot of the times, like, a lot of the times I moved in my head. Like, my head, like, my thoughts, my mind was like my safest place, because obviously my body trauma, my physical trauma, I would say, and then the betrayals, and like, like, the stuff that I went through, like, being in my mind was my power, and not letting anybody in was a way for me to feel in control. And it's crazy, because, like, a lot of those times, if I was vulnerable, if I did open up, like, it would allow me to create more in-depth relationships, not just romantic, but friendships as well. Like, I made things very surface level. I didn't allow myself to break down in front of people. I didn't express my true feelings to people. Like, I was also very overly empathetic, to where it was like, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. It's okay. Like, it is what it is. When really I wanted to say, yo, that really hurt my feelings. It made me feel like you didn't care about me, or this and that. And then that's where you create that intimacy in relationships, right? But like, that's when the doubt creeps in though too. Like, when you start to express your feelings and become intimate, like, you start to think, am I saying too much? Am I not saying enough? Will they think I'm immature, or will they think I'm ignorant? Like, it's a lot, y'all. Like, it's a lot. But when I recognize this, like, when we recognize this, like, it's the first step to healing. Like, awareness is the first step. First step, y'all. So, with all of that, what do we do with all of this, y'all? Like, what do we do? We have to recognize that we're layered, that we are talented, like, we are ambitious, y'all. Like, but we also have to accept and become aware that we can be blocked, and we are doubtful at times. We're independent, and we're also rebellious, yet sometimes lonely. Like, we're logical thinkers learning how to feel. We're hilarious and captivating, but sometimes exhausted by the spotlight. And that's okay. That's okay. That's human. This is human. The key is grace. Grace for the child in us who had to grow up too freaking fast, right? Grace for the rebel in us who resists authority. Oh my God, I resist authority so much. Grace for the lover in us who's still learning how to feel. Like, grace for the free spirit in us who refuses to stay in line. Grace, 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 grace is the key. Grace is a theme and the lesson in my life for the past 2 years, and I'm still learning. But all of these sides are worthy, and all of these sides are you.